blaming it on Comey. Not a lot of talk about Hillary Clinton might have not been the right candidate.
No, you know what? That's the reports is trickling in, super anecdotal. But I haven't gotten a chance to see the rest of the media and the Democratic establishment reaction yet. But we'll have all that on tomorrow's show. But what's trickling in now is total denial. What the Democratic Party faults? I don't know what you're talking about. Already, look, Twitter's not much, but is it us? Is it was it James Comey? Was it the sexism? No, you have a structural fucking problem, right? So
let's not oversimplify things. It's all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like sexism was a part of it. Comey was a part of it. She was a terrible candidate. The DNC pissed off a lot of people. All of those things influence it. It's so easy to want to identify the one thing that it is, but I mean, the idea that Comey didn't influence it by the media covering nothing but the email scandal for like the 6 days leading up to the campaign, or that sexism had nothing to do with it, 75% of white, non-college educated men just happened to all simultaneously hate her, and at the same time, she turned off almost every progressive in the country. They were rightfully pissed off at not just her, but also everyone she'd surrounded herself with. All of those things are true, and a bunch of things I haven't thought of yet.
I mean, look, in regard to the sexism thing that you just mentioned, Hillary Clinton got blamed for the deviant behavior of Bill Clinton, but Donald Trump didn't get any negative, consequence as a result of his infidelity, him allegedly sexually assaulting people, him allegedly raping his ex-wife. So I think that's a perfect example of that. There are certain things that certain men can get away with that a woman wouldn't get away with. She's not the one who cheated. She's not the one who did anything shady in her relationship, but it didn't matter. She got blamed for the behavior of Bill Clinton in that case.
You know what? It's horrible that she would get blamed for the behavior of Bill Clinton, but I think maybe some of the calculation was like, well, she's okay with Bill Clinton doing that shit. I could be okay with Donald Trump doing that shit.
I know, but what Bill Clinton did and what Trump did, allegedly did, they're completely different.
I'm going over the top. I actually don't agree with you guys. I think there was only one reason: the Democratic Party. I think that if Comey hadn't happened, they would have lost anyway. If they had a male candidate who was as establishment as Hillary Clinton, they would have lost anyway. It was the fatal flaw. And so there's nothing they could have done if they ran a greasy status quo establishment candidate. They were going to lose, and they lost. So that's it.
I think that was a big part of it. I disagree that was it.
Of course,
That's all it was. Yeah.
I mean, many of these states are 1 point away. Mm-hmm. Almost anything can sway 1
Trump's
point.
did everything wrong. And he's still good.
Wow. Yeah, I know.
That's how bad of a candidate she
I
was.
I'm just saying that how bad of a candidate she is one of many things that you can blame.
Okay. I want to go back.
I also want to point out for you, the people are very scared. You can see it in their eyes. I mean, they're upset, but one person was talking about he thinks like Nazi Germany is coming back.
Yep.
I just spoke with an African American who's very, very scared when looking at the police brutality that's been happening under President Obama, how much worse it's going to get under President Trump. So I just want to put the full context out that there's a lot of people who are visibly in their face and their body language very scared at what's going to come next.
Yep.
Maybe Barack Obama should call the Baltimore protesters thugs again, and while he lets peaceful protesters get their heads cracked in all over the country. Maybe that'll help.
Okay, Jordan, let's talk more about reaction. So, inside the Jacob Javits Center was, I imagine, the well-heeled folks, right? Plus Wes Clark, who snuck in there. Any of them trickle out? Any sense of any reaction? I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, but did you see any of that happening?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're right where they're trickling out, and it's complete, like, it kind of looks, I don't want to be dramatic, but it doesn't look that unsimilar from when I was at UCLA, covering like a school shooting, and people scared, and people crying. Like, it looks like literally they just dealt with something traumatic. That's just as accurately as I can report it based on what I'm seeing. There's people crying, there's people embracing each other. People are shocked. I mean, people are really shocked. I haven't, I'm not doing the whole I told you so stuff, maybe tomorrow on Twitter, but I'm not doing it tonight. and people are really in disbelief. There's not one person I spoke to who told me at the beginning of the night. One person told me the New York Times told me it was a shoo-in. She was going to win, which gets to our discussion on the mainstream media. So people are shocked. You see women in particular kind of hugging and embracing each other. A lot of tears. And one thing that really strikes me is when I've interviewed people, and this is just human nature, but like they're having a hard time processing, like even answering me. So people are shocked, and when I ask them again about the reasons, you get a lot of things that are just denial, like you said, because I don't think they processed yet that this wasn't about the first woman, America not being ready for a woman or any of these things. And also with Trump, people are also in disbelief not only that Hillary lost, but the fact that somebody so completely unprepared, so completely winging it. Two people told me he completely just winged the whole thing, could become president in the United States. How enough people voted for that. So there was just a lot of disbelief in that regard.
Yeah, because politics is not complicated. You don't have to talk about policy at all. That sucks. I hate it. But it's true. You don't have to do it. And it's not like Hillary Clinton talked a lot about policy. But what she could have done is given people hope through the policy. Hey, I'm going to be there for your kids. You want a free education? So they have a chance, so they got a shot, so they don't have to work at Walmart like you do? Yeah, I'm going to do that for you. She never said it, right? So, I put in a Progressive Party platform, Democratic Party platform. That's cute. Like we're ever going to do that, right? Why aren't you on the campaign trail? He's Trump. He's so bad, he's Trump.
Although, again, you have to blame the media because, as we covered, if she had given many speeches about that, the media wouldn't have covered it.
No.
They spent 4% of the time that they covered Clinton covering all of her policy proposals.
Okay, I can see.
You can miss that in an afternoon.
I can see nothing. You know why? This is not like Hillary Clinton doesn't know how to play the press. So when she's got a story she wants to leak about Trump or whatever, she's masterful at it. So if she talks about policy and they don't cover it, she'd come out and be like, look at this press. Look at how biased they are. They don't want to talk about policy because they know that Donald Trump's policies are awful. And she could have attacked the press. She could have done what Bernie Sanders did, what Donald Trump does. You know what the press's popularity rating right now is? 9%. But she didn't touch the press because the press are her friends. They were friends. That's not who she is. You know what I would have done if they didn't cover my policies? I'd kick their ass. Right?
Guys, can I just jump in for a second?
Yeah.
To me, it's very simple. I'm much more with Jen than with you guys. Yeah, sexism and blah, blah, blah. Had a little fringe element to it. But here's the real problem. She had no message. No message.
What was her message?
What was her message? No, her message was, this guy's a fucking monster, so you have to vote for me. That was her message. It was vote for me because I'm not him. And even her own campaign statement, I'm with her. What does that even mean? Okay, look, Trump, as idiotic as his message was an actual message. I'm gonna make America great again. And it was false hope, it was ridiculousness, but it makes people think, okay, he'll make America great again. What was her message? I'm with her. That was it. That's ridiculous. I'm almost done. Okay, so look, people aren't gonna stand up in lines for hours to vote against someone. Okay, they're standing in line for hours because they're inspired to vote for someone. And she never gave anyone that opportunity. Look, Jen said it in a different way earlier, but look, here's what people follow. People follow courage. They don't follow titles or nobility. Okay, this is a quote from Braveheart, one of my favorite movies. It's absolutely true. She showed no courage. None whatsoever. And she and the DNC had the fucking audacity to think that she earned everyone's vote. Because why? Because she's not as awful as Trump. I mean, she's a candidate who took $675,000 from Goldman Sachs in a time when Americans are suffering. So if you're getting by on $20,000 a year, $40,000 a year, $75,000 a year, and you're making choices between buying lunch for your kids or medicine for yourself, and you have this woman making a speech to Goldman Sachs who crashed our economy, she's paid $2.25 an hour for that.
I take my meds.
You think she's on your side, and that her message is I'm with her?
Well,
There is no inspiration whatsoever.
Just to be clear,
I wouldn't vote for her.
You said we're disagreeing. We're not disagreeing. I didn't say that the other things I listed were bigger things. I was saying we can't can't simply choose the one thing we want it to
That's
be
the
about
main
and say
thing.
that's the only thing.
It's the main
Just
thing.
as the chief strategist, again, from the Hillary Clinton campaign, the I'm with her thing, I'd like to explain it. We were counting on the fact that half America would be female. What we didn't understand was that the other half of America is male. Oversight on our part. What we did do, though, is poll. We thought, we planned, we were so clinical about every step of the way. We tried to, I mean, if you look at our candidate, you'll see that she has, I don't know what you guys call it, but we call it personality. And because she had no personality, we tried to find out what messages to repeat as clinically as possible. So we used clinical approaches. And what we were up against was this person who could close his eyes and through his egomaniacal, over-the-top hubris could just sniff out pockets of voters and just start saying things. And through his desire to be liked, could say things that appeal to all these pockets of voters and wake up people who had felt disenfranchised and distanced from the political process. It was really a great move on his part. But what ended up happening is we were the immovable object. We were the ones who sat down, and we did all our homework and stayed in one place. But it turns out he was the unstoppable force who was just like, I'm going to do everything possible to be liked. And it turns out that voting is very similar to a high school popularity contest.
No.
Yes.
What he did right was he didn't try to hide his ugly warts. He was just like, hey man, I ain't gonna move my pussy. These people are rapists and murderers. He says crazy shit that would have sunk any other politician. But in this time, in this election, the worst it can be is a talking point machine, standard establishment politician. And through all of his ugliness, people thought, well, he's different, so I'm gonna go with a different guy. And look, you know, he won like 35% of the Latino vote.
Yes.
That's unbelievable
He
to
did.
me. Okay, he won 45% of the women vote.
Here's the thing: is also it takes a lot of effort to collect nuts for the winter, and winter is coming. So I had a lot on my plate.
Okay. So, Jordan, we got to go to Michael next at Trump headquarters. So, any last thoughts on what you saw out there tonight?
I'll leave you with this, Jank. I fit in one Bernie Sanders question. I asked a gentleman, do you think it might have been a different outcome if Bernie Sanders was the Democratic nominee? He looked at me very pensively and said, you may be right.
Well, that's the note to end on, indeed. Thank you, Jordan Chariton. Everybody check out youtube.com/TYTPolitics for Jordan's great coverage of the campaign as well as the Standing Rock issue in the Dakotas. So now let's go to Michael Schur, who's at Trump headquarters, and we're going to go to him in a second, but I am curious to see how jubilant they are. And I'm scared and a little pensive about it, right? And God knows what they do on a warpath when they're jolly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not scared. They're going to be happy. They're going to be celebrating. What I'm more curious about is something that we've talked about a little bit. At what point do the same people that have been frustrated with the establishment feel the pain of the Trump presidency? Because, I mean, we know what's coming.
We're going to feel it right away.
They're going to feel it right away. And look, I agree with every criticism that we've made of Hillary on the show. She represents the establishment. She represents Wall Street. She represents privilege and these corporations that have screwed us in so many ways. But what I don't think his voters really realize is he is not a symbol of that same corruption. He is the person who's benefited from it. You
He's
know?
a corrupter.
He is the corrupter.
Can Michael and Jordan share their location with each other and put on Google Maps how long it would take to walk to each other's party to find how far away geographically they are? Because I'm not sure how far away ideologically they are at this point.
Yeah, it is a interesting symbolism on a night like this, right? That they're not that far apart. Okay, we do have Michael at. I have a lot to say about Hillary Clinton in a minute, but let's go to Michael Schur at the Donald Trump's party/headquarters for tonight. Michael, what do you have for us there?
Well, Trump is here and he's about to come on stage here. They haven't called it. People here are kind of saying, make the call, make the call, make the call. That's what they were chanting inside. I was inside talking to some of the veterans, a couple of people that spoke at the convention, one guy who was at Benghazi. People here are pretty pumped about Donald Trump, and it's the same. You know, what's interesting, guys, and Anna, is that you see what resonated when you're out on the trail, and you see, and we've shown this, and Jordan has done a great job, and so has Eric, showing the people at these Trump rallies. And you come to New York, and it's a very different world, I find here. They all have the red hats, but it's sort of a refined Trump supporter here. Of course, this is the donor class of Trump people who work for him, people who've been with him for a long time. I don't think that they have anything in common with the people that we've seen on the trail at these rallies with their Confederate flags and their overalls. It's a very different type of a pitchfork revolution, I guess. But in any case, here I think there's a sense of elation, some surprise. I think people said that they were confident, but in fact, beforehand I didn't speak to too many people who were really confident here. But there a lot of people walked in and said, hey, we had a really good feeling about this, and they were right.
Yeah. And so that's really interesting, and I think in that report is the beginning of the end for Trump. So now, this is the beginning of the beginning, I understand that. But at some point, the guys in the overalls are going to come to find out that the guys that you're in the room with, Michael, are actually in charge. Mm-hmm. And that they don't have overalls on, and that that same donor class is still in charge. And so any kind of insight into that donor class would be very interesting to us. How many people are there? Is it a big celebration? Does it appear to be any actual Trump supporters that aren't part of, in a sense, his establishment, or is it all staffers and donors?
Well, I mean, I think it's a mix of both. It's hard to tell these events on election night, Jane. But what you do have is, I spoke to somebody who was in a room in the back with a lot of the donors, and the donors were far more somber. The RNC donors were far more somber than the people who worked on this campaign, the people who supported, and people who gave money to it. But the actual sort of the financial wing of the RNC that's here, this was reported to me by one of the people I spoke to, were sort of somber in that room, which I found interesting. Meaning that they see the Republican Party kind of being taken from them in a sense.
Well, that's part of it. No, you know what the other part of it is? The stock market.
Yeah, Michigan still has the
So those jobs, I'm being dead serious. Those donors are very wealthy, and they're like, all right, great, we're gonna get Trump, and oh no, I just lost 12% of my net worth because I supported Trump. What have I done? So,
well, there is that, but Cenk, I was speaking to somebody. I just talked to him about that. We were standing at a bar, and I talked to him about the stock market going down. And he said, "Well, you know what that means?" And I said, "What?" Because I don't. He said, "That means that it's a buyer's market. It's an opportunity to make money. It's an opportunity to buy when the market is low and people are selling off. So these are people who can vulture in to people who do lose a lot of money, come in and then make a killing later."
So it's funny because that reminds me of what Trump said about the crash. He said, "Oh, that was a great opportunity to buy low. You lost your jobs, you lost your house. Great, I'm going to scoop on in, take your house for cheap since you can't afford it anymore, and that's how I'm going to make money." So
yeah,
some of the folks in that room are thinking, "Okay, bargain basement shopping time." And so if you feel pain or your pension feels pain, your pension fund, that's. The guys running that are not quite as savvy, right? This is our moment. We come in and we capitalize on this. And someone might be thinking, hey, man, this is part of the reason we ran.
Yeah. No.
Capitalize.
And Cenk, one other little anecdote. I spoke to 3 members of Congress tonight, 2 of them Democrats, 1 of them a Republican. And all 3 of them said, they said, yes, the Clinton mattered, yes, third party mattered a little bit, but they all, and it's just 3, so let's say they all is not such a big thing to say. All 3 said that James Comey was the reason that Hillary Clinton lost. Now, I think the Democrats to be foolish to go with that narrative for a very long time. But I found that interesting because I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel that way when it happened. I know Ben Mankiewicz felt that was a big, big changer, and maybe it was, and maybe that stop of momentum. But I don't think any of these polls, the only winner in these polls, we didn't see any polls other than that LA Times poll, the USC Dornsifer poll. Those are the only polls that showed Trump ahead. And so I don't know where you can just point to Jim Comey as the reason for this. And again, there's lots of blame to go around. I hate that sort of blame thing. It didn't work for the Republicans last time because the autopsy that they did produced Donald Trump, and that wasn't what they were going for with their autopsy. But I thought that was really interesting. Democrats, the two Democrats I spoke to said it is a disaster. Both of them reluctant to go back to Congress now because there's a Republican president, Republican Senate, Republican House, and there's going to be that court, which is going to be so conservative. They said we're not going to be able to get anything done. We don't even have enough to stop what these people want to do.
Yeah. It's an absolute disaster for the Democratic Party. And if their conclusion is, oh, it was the happenstance of James Comey making an announcement, everything else is fine. Wrong conclusion, and the disasters will continue. So, look, Michael, I'm very curious as you go forward here to see if, in your continued reporting, to see how that Democratic Party, I don't want to say changes because maybe they don't change at all. How they react, right? So,
I think that's so interesting. You're right, Jim.
yeah, I mean, what's the lessons they learned? Did they learn any lessons? Here in the studio, we think, no, the Democratic Party is in shambles. This corporate strategy is a disaster. The Evan Bayh strategy did not work and is never going to work. If they didn't learn that lesson, they're in for a world of hurt.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if there's an Evan Bayh strategy.
I'll call it anyways.
I thought that was
You know who won?
a smart pick because he had name recognition. They had nobody else that could go up against the Republican opponent there. So I don't know that
You know who
that
won?
race alone. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people were really lukewarm on that, even within the Democratic Party. But it was somebody that all of a sudden they said, oh wait, we can maybe win this race. But again, so but I know what you're talking about. I know you're talking about the sort of Evan Bayh wing of the party. That's true.
Yeah, all right, last thing, Michael. So we're getting word that Hillary Clinton is not going to speak tonight.
Right.
She's down in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Alaska now. She would have to win all of them and Minnesota, which she's up in. In Wisconsin, we have 99% reporting, and she's down by 2.6%. I don't know why that's not called by everybody. It's over. She's lost Wisconsin. She lost the race.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jake, and I think that the Democrats are just trying to make sure every vote's counted, but I think also it buys a little bit of time. Listen, before these election nights, as we now know, these people are armed with legal teams, armed with mathematic teams, people that go in, pollsters that go in and look at what the results were from, every different angle, see if there's anything to litigate, get reports. But I think we would have crossed the wires at this point tonight could irregularities if there were irregularities. I haven't heard very much. I'm looking for that. Just hasn't come out. But I think that's what's in play here. I also think that gives them a little time to think. It doesn't matter to them when they do it. It is a close race, even if these, states get split. It's still a close race, and I think that they just want to afford themselves that time. But the people here are impatient with that. It seems a foregone conclusion that Trump has won tonight. But maybe there is something that they're on to that nobody else knows about, and I guess they have the right to do that.
They called it.
It's over. Who called
AP called Wisconsin and then the race.
It's over. Now, look, we called it a while back, but now it's official. AP calling Wisconsin and the whole race. Trump is president. Okay.
It's called Wisconsin. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, AP called Wisconsin just now.
So
it's over.
So that would end the presidential race.
Yeah, it's over. He was at 266 before Wisconsin. Wisconsin is 10 points. I guess it was 276. Well past the 270 that he needed. And Donald Trump's president of the United States.
Yep.
So, actually, one more thing, Michael. You have any idea when he's going to speak tonight?
He's probably going to say, who really knows what Donald Trump's going to say? It's a fool's errand to predict
I think it's
that.
pretty
I think that he's going to say, we knew we had it coming. We knew we had to get a good feeling here. America's spoken. Hey, this is great. New day in America. We won the Senate, we won the House. He's going to congratulate the people who work with him. I don't know what he's going to say about Hillary, but he may say something disparaging. I think not. I think he will now segue into, he's going to apparently have lunch with President Obama next week. because President Obama said that he's going to meet with the winner next week. So let's see. I think maybe he's going to turn a new page. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to thank Rudy Giuliani and say he's going to be a great Attorney General. Newt Gingrich is going to be a great Secretary of State, and Sean Hannity's going to be my Chief of Staff. Who really knows what he's going to say?
Yeah. By the way, that is not true. The first two are almost certain, and Hannity's not inconceivable. Okay.
Imagine that.
Silver Ford is here.
Yeah, Jake, I lost your.
Yeah.
Metro.
That's okay. All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Trump's empty podium is back. Well, now well deserved. That's the empty podium for the president.
This is the country we live in.
I'm trying to think of a more ridiculous name becomes president. I was like, Khloe Kardashian.
Just pray to God he did something
I
really
remember that.
fucked up.
Yeah, like
and he
yeah,
gets
think of a
fucking
reality
he gets
star.
Freaking.
They make more sense as
I think it's
president.
easier. I think it's it's very easy to think of names that are better
glad
than Trump.
Hillary
Frankly,
didn't win
that are worse. It's hard.
Right.
Fucking
So,
Hillary's our house. I'm telling you right now. Guess
hashtag
what?
flying
He's
squirrel for
president.
president. I'm unemployed now as
And then
chief
he
strategist.
fucks up
for
and goes, and Hillary's not gonna be the president. He'll be
Apologies
vice
to
president.
my
Or his vice
Always
president
in.
to be vice president.
Who could be
Or
better?
president. Okay? If he fucks up,
Now we gotta
or
do
he's
this.
next to him,
Came to the
guess
yard. I
what?
think he was assaulted.
Can't be reelected
From
again.
there, eastbound.
I'll take no joy in
The black female, the black leather jacket on his
Better than
jeans.
Hillary.
She resides at the
Military didn't want Hillary,
But
y'all.
it has to be.
Oh my God, never mind.
I think that we can now declare the worst candidate in America.
Let me know when we had an ISIS attack in America ever in a day.
It's certainly not like I don't know how
He's Henry Ford.
the guys from back in the day, Tippecanoe and Tyler too were. But
Listen, too much
so
nation
He
media.
left
she
from Henry
lost
Ford
to
ER
a guy named Barack
on
Hussein
Michigan on foot.
and you forget I covered it, man. I covered it day in day out.
He's right up there being too disregarded. Where was he originally assaulted?
There is no way in the world a black guy is going to be elected president in America. And now you see the level of racism that's out there from the Trump campaign.
I can hear some back since I have that info.
That's 8 years later. We had 8 years to develop more, right? And we had a black president. He won back then. And he beat Hillary Clinton.
He still has a popularity rating at 58%.
Yeah. And so anyway, she lost to him in an she was supposed to be the lead candidate in 2008. She was an establishment candidate. He was a young senator, came out of nowhere, caught her, passed her.
Why? Why did he do
Listen,
that?
here's the thing.
Why?
J.R. Jackson has every right to be in the seat ahead of me, a flying squirrel who was an advisor to the Clinton campaign. But he went to the University of Southern California. The University of Southern California won championship after championship under a great coach, Pete Carroll. It grieves me to say because on the other side of this is a UCLA thing that I have. But he was a great coach. Once he moved on to Seattle, they hired some people. And they continued to hire coaches from his staff, which is the same thing that the Democrats tried to do. They tried to go with Al Gore. I worked for him for many years at Current TV. Not a good candidate. They hired Hillary Clinton, lost to Barack Hussein Obama. Not a good candidate. But the same way that the SC football team hired Steve Sarkisian, and they tried to go with people from that same administration, which just proves that in this America, the same America that watched the debate between John F. Kennedy and Richard Milhouse Nixon and said, that guy is a terrible, non-telegenic idiot, and John F. Kennedy looks good, they didn't think through how good the candidate needs to be. You watch those rallies today in Michigan, in New Hampshire, and you watch Barack Obama go out there and give a speech and say, you know what, that's a human. And for 30 years in line have been Al Gore and Hillary Clinton. And they kept hiring those people because they were in the same coaching staff as a good candidate. Go back and watch the documentary The War Room with Bill Clinton. A great candidate, a folksy friend of yours from the same Arkansas group that's now like, wait, we can be racist and sexist now? Let's do it. But he was a great candidate. Barack was a great candidate and a sadly telegenic person who was created by the two highest electoral vote states that are as blue as you can think, New York and California, that same candidate, a great candidate, sadly against all odds, just beat someone who was a bad candidate who had the pedigree.
And so Hillary Clinton then lost a 60-point lead to Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
Right.
An unknown socialist senator from Vermont, okay, smallest state in the union, and she barely pulled it out with every advantage in the world, name recognition through every single Democratic Party establishment person back there, and then she lost to Donald Trump. It's a no-brainer. I mean, that's the worst politician of our lifetime.
I mean, there were the polls that predicted what would happen during the general election if Bernie won the nomination versus Hillary winning the nomination. This is something that was so easily predictable, and you know, after she won the nomination, I know for me personally, as a progressive, I wanted so desperately for him not to win that I started playing mind games on myself as well. Maybe she can win. Maybe she can beat him. Maybe progressives will be so afraid of Trump that they will be encouraged to go to the polls. I went to the polls, even though I'm in California, and voted for her because I don't want Trump to win. But I am rare, and what Steve was talking about earlier in the show today makes a lot of sense. You want to inspire people to go to the polls to vote for someone, for something, not to vote against something.
Yes. So I want to get back to this point about how she lost to Barack Obama. Black man, the bizarre sounding name, has the word Hussein in it. We just went to war in Iraq.
I mean, it was, well, Barack Hussein Obama, who was
Yeah.
able to distinguish himself from the other senators in the ticket as the one who voted against Iraq in the face of George W. Bush.
And what was his message? What was his
By the way, he
message?
didn't vote against.
What was his message?
He voted against further
Change.
funding for
Well, his message was hope and change.
Change.
Hope and change. And what did it do? It inspired a new generation of people to register to vote, and he won by significant margins, and he got out to vote. People were excited. They stood in lines. And when he won, people wept. They were so incredibly encouraged and energized. And when Bernie was running against Hillary, he filled coliseums, he filled stadiums. People were saving their last few dollars and sending it to Bernie to represent them. And that's the guy that the Democratic Party said, we don't want that guy. We don't want that guy, okay? He's unelectable. He's pie in the sky. He's crazy. Why would you vote for that guy? He's the guy who filled stadiums. People were chanting his name, okay? He energized a new generation of voters. I personally know children who lie about their age so they can canvass for Bernie, okay? That's the guy that we rejected for this 30-year-old this politician who's been for around for 30 years with 30 years worth of baggage, who is in bed with Wall Street and all the different corporate interests. That's the message. That's the decision that our DNC made. And then Hillary's message has no hope, no change. In fact, she dampened all of our energies.
Yes.
She said Bernie Sanders wants universal health care. Nonsense. We can't do that.
Never
we can't do that. That never happened. Fairy dust. You're crazy. He wanted to help college students deal with crushing student loan debt. And what happened? We can't do that. She's the one who killed those dreams, okay? So it was Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party that dampened our own vision for a better America. And they said, no, slow everything down, slow it down. Just incremental change. I'm a grown-up. I can work with Republicans. I can get things done.
That's the last 35 years of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
That is Democrats fall in love, Republicans
Yeah.
fall in line. And that's people fighting last generation's war who were like, we're smarter than that, we're better than that now. Why
So
should
they're
Republicans
the
fall in love and us
ones.
fall
They're
in
the ones
line?
who kill the hope and the change that our own party wanted. And then they're shocked that people didn't come out and vote for her. And she lost massively in all the states and the districts that Obama won. And the lessons are all the wrong lessons that we're learning. The lessons that even my close friends are driving fucking nuts right now because they're saying it's all sexism, it's all racism. The electorate is wrong. Americans are idiots. And it's everyone's fault except for hers.
It's both.
That she's somehow a victim.
It is both. Exactly. It's not one thing.
I know, Anna. I mean, look.
I mean, come on.
Those things
We
matter.
sent Jordan to every
They matter.
rally to
They
talk
matter.
to the supporters, and you're going to sit there and say that racism and sexism has nothing to do with it? Of course it has something to do with it.
No,
I agree
it
with
does.
you. I absolutely agree with you.
Trump got
that
them to come
Hillary
out.
not being an inspiring
That's right.
candidate, being in the pocket of Wall Street or having Wall Street in her pocket has been the biggest problem. I would put more weight behind that. But to say, look, I want to be clear about something, okay? Because I know people get mad at me when I refer to Trump supporters as dumb. And I want to be clear, there are certain Trump supporters that are not dumb. They're angry at the establishment, they're angry with the economic situation, and they're voting because they look at Trump, and unfortunately they believe him when he says he's going to look out for them and he's going to make things better, right? But there's also a certain population of people that do support him that are dumb, right? And the alt-right falls under that category. These are the racists who don't want to take personal responsibility for their failures in life, and they're not going to vote for Democrats. You're right. But what I'm trying to say is, Hillary not winning is not due to one reason. There are many different reasons.
But I actually think it is. So look, again, I'm going to go over the top here.
Then why did you send Jordan to do all those interviews? And why did we play them on the show?
Let me explain.
I just want to clarify my point. My point, Anna, isn't that those things don't matter. Of course they matter. I know. And she's a victim of that. But my point, bringing out Obama and Bernie Sanders, who's a socialist Jew from a little state, you can overcome that. All of that with inspiration, with messaging, and with real leadership. And she didn't have those things. And that's why she lost.
So the reason that I keep saying that stuff didn't matter, Anna, is because, look, that doesn't mean that the racists and the sexists didn't support him. They did, right? They were always going to support him. So what? And they were always going to support the Republican candidate. That didn't swing the election. So that I don't know if that number is 25%, 40%, whatever that number is. The Republican candidate was always going to get that block of voters, right? What swings the election is the other 5, 10, 15% that is either going to get excited, not get excited, stay at home, or come out to vote, etc.
But to be fair, we've also pointed out time and again what it is that he says that gets them excited. And it's racist shit. And
but it's also
that's what makes them enthusiastic about him.
John, you have a protectionist Republican president.
Yes.
You have a protectionist Republican president. Now you need to take every ideological analysis and throw it out the window. This is strictly coalition building. This is listen, that southern racist voting bloc that generations of American landed aristocracy has swept down and tried to scoop up. They were stop scooping us, we're in charge. But then again, Trump was the one who was able to, through his need for being loved, listen to Hillary say, I'm going to put coal miners out of business. And just was listen, do I need to be a protectionist? I'll be a protectionist.
Which, by the way, that sort of speech is exactly the sort of Bill holds barred, we need to change rhetoric that we push for here.
A proven exporter of jobs overseas. He just said the right things. And in a media-driven environment that dates back to Kennedy versus Nixon, telegenic environment, that's it.
But did he say the right things? I mean, I feel like he got away with saying so many things that went against what his supporters wanted. For instance, talking about how he took advantage of the housing market melting down so he could buy all these properties on the cheap, Oh, it was great, it was great. He's not looking out for you. He's not looking out for you.
He's saying the same things.
We gotta go to the speeches, guys. All right. So Mike Pence is up. This is amazing. In Indiana, I don't know if you know this, they call him Mike.
That we will have the privilege to serve as your Vice President of the United States of America.
Fuck this guy. Oh, Jesus Christ.
He pulls off his skin and he's like the Red Skull from Captain America.
There's 2 women on stage right there.
I come to this moment.
He's anthropomorphized London.
Come to this moment deeply humbled.
No, he doesn't.
Grateful to God for His amazing grace.
He's like, good boy, this is a miracle, right?
Grateful to my family.
I took this on a bet.
My wonderful wife, Karen. Our son, Michael, and his fiancée, Sarah. Our daughter, Audrey, far away, and our daughter, Charlotte. I could not be here without them.
They're not next to him.
And I'm deeply grateful to the American people for placing their confidence in this team and giving us this opportunity to serve.
He's disgusting. Everyone. How old are you?
And I'm mostly grateful to our president-elect,
He's the Knights King.
whose leadership and vision will make America great again.
people facing can't deliver. Unlike
First, I
Hillary
want to
Clinton's
thank
like,
my
"Oh, no, we're not gonna
parents,
get it."
who I know are looking down on me right now. Great
People
people.
terrified. People on this panel are that kid next to me.
I've learned so much from them.
Barron. It's Barron
Oh,
Trump.
They were
right.
wonderful
Put it on
and
Twitter
every-
that he's not
we
scared.
were
He
actually
just desperately
good
needs to piss.
friends. I also want to thank my sisters who are here with us tonight.
Slushy.
They're very shy.
He's just like, I'm gonna go.
And my
outside.
brother Robert, my great friend. Where is Robert?
Oh,
Where is Robert?
I've seen Robert before.
My brother
That's his great
Robert.
friend.
And
Oh,
also
that's his
my
brother.
late brother. And they should all be on this stage, but fantastic family. I was very lucky. Great
Fred's
brothers, sisters, great, unbelievable parents. To Melania and Don.
I'm glad you came to the picture before I built the wall.
I can't believe she's our first lady.
And Ivanka.
That's insane, right?
And Eric.
To a lesser extent. Although the good thing is, Trump
Tiffany.
will never give you up, he'll
And
never let you
Barron.
down. He will never turn around and desert you.
I love you and I thank you.
Thank God I was short.
And especially for putting
Sorry
up
to Rick
with
Roll,
all
guys.
those hours. This was tough. This was
I
tough.
know who's being based for this election.
This political stuff.
Oh.
So I
Oh,
want to thank my family.
oh,
Really.
oh, so glad Wall
Thank
Street
you all.
let Hillary
Thank
pick
you all.
those.
And Lara,
That's
unbelievable.
fine.
Unbelievable. Vanessa, thank you. Thank you very much. What a great gift. You've all given me such incredible support, and I will tell you that we have a large group of people. You know, they kept saying we have a small staff. Not so small. Look at all the people that we have.
Very tall.
Look at all of these
Very
people.
tall, large.
And Kellyanne, and Chris, and
This is my
Rudy,
stack.
and Steve, and David.
Nice.
We have got tremendously talented people up here. And I'll tell you, it's been very, very special. I want to give a very special thanks to our former mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Unbelievable. He traveled with us and he went through meetings. Rudy never changes. Where's Rudy? Where is he? Rudy.
Gotta put his skin back on.
Governor Chris Christie, folks, was unbelievable.
Sorry,
Thank
sorry
you.
about the traffic outside of this
The
event.
first man, first senator, first major politician, let me tell you, he is highly respected in Washington because he's as smart as you get. Senator Jeff Sessions. Where's
Like, you can't find a word sound. In-law, other than in-law, right? Sessions. Oh, there he is. Jesus.
He literally looks like a Dr.
great man. Another great man, very tough competitor. He was not easy. He was not easy. Who is that? Is that the mayor that shut up?
Oh, God.
Oh, Rudy got up there.
He might be my least favorite.
He broke it. He broke
Yeah,
it.
he broke the screen. He broke the screen.
He put his hand up to pause it.
And you know what he did to the screen? He stopped and frisked it. And Trump's like, ooh, stopping people and frisking them without